Hello, and welcome to another episode of Conscious Business Connections, brought to you by the New York City chapter of Conscious Capitalism. My name is Joe Laranjeiro, and I'm joined today by Raj Thakkar, founder and CEO of actually two brands, Charter School Business Management and FOREsight Financial Services for Good, certified B Corp, as well as certified minority enterprise. Raj, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Joe.
So to get us started, Raj, we always like to ask our guests a bit about their origin story and how they got to where they are today. Can you tell us a bit about where you were before launching these two businesses and really what drove you to founding these two social enterprises?
Sure. So I used to be at a few different startups, and while they were exciting, they were a little bit hectic. And after getting my MBA in finance at NYU Stern, I said, I want to use this education for a better purpose in the world. So I landed as the chief financial officer of Explore Charter School in Brooklyn, New York. And basically, like the first day, I asked the founder, I said, listen, if I have any questions, who do I ask? And he said, this is a pretty brand new industry at this time. This was back in 2003. And he said that there's no one out there. So it was like kind of in the back of my head that, oh, that's a market waiting to be filled, after newly getting my MBA. And I worked at Explore and lived a ton of incredible experiences. And 4 years in, when the school was up for renewal, which I helped successfully navigate, get the school for another 5 years, I told the school founder, I said, look, while helping you build your dream, I have a dream of my own, and I can't stand how financial mismanagement is the number one reason for charter schools getting shut down. There's so many educators who are opening schools, they're taught academics, they're not taught the finances, and charter schools by nature are rapidly expanding multi-million-dollar enterprises, and they need the help. So originally I designed Charter School Business Management, we call it also CSBM, to be the professional development for finance and operations people at charter schools. And after getting a contract to help 10 schools that were opening in fall of 2006, quite a few of them said, you obviously know what you're doing. Can I just outsource this work to you? So they said, so I said, yeah, sure, but I'm only one person. Are you comfortable with me hiring more people? And it really gave birth to this do it for you or teach you how method that we have. So we teach our clients all of our best practices, and then we can do it for them, do it on their behalf, or a combination of both. And then when that was a time when Mayor Bloomberg was in charge, who was very pro-charter school, and when Mayor de Blasio was coming into power, who tend to be anti-charter school, to put it nicely. I said, okay, here's a challenge that's coming towards our organization. So we created a separate brand as a doing business as, and came up with FOREsight to help other types of nonprofits.
So you were both an extension of Charter School's financial group team, as well as the actual replacing or just being their financial firm. Correct. In and of itself.
Exactly.
It seems like that a lot of folks who maybe start social enterprises or charter schools have a very strong mission, purpose, values. They know the change they want to bring to the world, and they're deeply driven by that. But then the realities of structure and organizational aptitude come in. Tell us a little bit about that and how you've seen that in the work you've done.
Yeah, so whether it's a nonprofit, a for-profit, a social enterprise, a charter school, people are always obsessed with realizing their vision and implementing their vision and having their mission to accomplish it. But there's always these things that get in the way, so they often dismiss the accounting and bookkeeping as this annoying stuff that any old person can do, and they call it insultingly, they call it data entry, and it's just like data entry involves no thought. You need to know how to categorize things, and a lot of what we do is we educate our clients on this stuff. So it can be really frustrating. And our view is responsible financial management can actually lay out the pathway, can show you whether you're sustainable over time, fiscally, and whether your vision can endure the test of time, instead of being in the dark, instead of being nervous about it. And some founders readily admit that they know nothing about it and value it, but more often than not, they don't value these things, and until it really bites them, and they're in major trouble. They haven't been paying payroll taxes or worse, and then their vision is all for nothing because they didn't take the finances seriously.
It's a great point. Like when someone thinks about launching a social enterprise, that's the furthest thing from their mind is
That's right.
that it's actually an enterprise with tax and legal statutes and financial reporting.
Right.
So what percent of your business now is between charter schools and just other nonprofits?
It's about 80% with charter schools, a lot in New York, as well as sprinkled around the US, and then 20% different types of nonprofits. And we do anticipate getting into helping social enterprises as well in the near future.
Yeah, and are the systems structures similar between charter schools and traditional nonprofits?
So yes and no. Because charter law is a state level law, it's not a federal law. I think there's about 44 states that allow charter schools to operate. So the expense side is typically very similar. Teachers have to get paid as well as the other staff. You need furniture, equipment, supplies that has to be paid for. The revenues per state tends to be the similar calculation. But then when you go to a different state, how they calculate the revenues look different. So there's a little bit of nuance, a little bit of barrier to entry. With nonprofits, depending on the type of nonprofit, there could be a different mix of private donations from individuals, corporate donations, government grants, foundation grants. There's all different types of revenues. So once you understand the revenues, the rest of the work tends to be the same because people have to get paid and you have to pay for all the items, the services and items that you're purchasing.
Yeah, they're fundamentals that span across.
Right.
So really this ties to any higher purpose. I think an element of your higher purpose is helping others achieve theirs.
That's right.
And giving them the parameters, the room to do so by taking some of the things off their plate perhaps, or at least guiding them in the right direction that might keep them from fulfilling that. And that's great. Another one of our core tenets is around culture and conscious leadership, and that's around the internal, sometimes functioning of a firm. You're a certified B Corp, and I think you had also thought about becoming a nonprofit business yourself. Tell us a little bit about that decision-making process, that mindset when you faced it, and maybe some advice on someone in the audience that's having that same conversation internally right now.
Sure. So when I launched Charter School Business Management, I was 31 years old, a little bit naive, and I thought in my fantasy land that charter-friendly foundations would give me millions of dollars and I'll go save all of them. I I didn't know that it was a lot more complicated than that. So I sat down with a few charter-friendly foundations in New York, and I said, look, I have this idea. This is what I want to do. I want to help schools manage their finances responsibly. And each of them very pleasantly said, like, we won't be funding that. We're much more excited about funding the arts program of the school, the after-school program, the weekend program, the more programmatic key aspects, not the back office type stuff. And then they wished me well, good luck, kiddo, go for it. And so by default, we were a S corporation initially. So that was in 2006. My accountant at the time said, if you can get business of at least $50,000 to $100,000 in revenues, then it's worth incorporating. Otherwise, just do it as a consultant and get paid a 1099. And then when I got my first contract, I said, okay, it looks like we should incorporate. And then in 2013 is when I I was taking a class at NYU and met a gentleman. It was all about social enterprise, and he was saying that I was describing the company, how we operate, and he's like, "Oh, you're like a B Corp," and I'm like, "B what? What are you talking about?" So we inadvertently, having been working at the school, we felt very much like a nonprofit. We operated like a nonprofit, except by default we were for profit. And we always believed in doing the right thing, and we implemented that, but we didn't know that there was an actual official stamp of approval from B Lab, which administers the B Corp certification. So we became a certified B Corp in 2013. And then in 2018 is when we became a minority business enterprise with New York State and New York City. And then last year in 2019, we converted from an S corporation to a benefit corporation. So it very much matches our personality, where the triple bottom line absolutely matters: people, profits, planet. We care how we operate. This is not just for stakeholder. This is absolutely for stakeholder value, not just for shareholder value. So it just felt right for us.
2013, you were one of the pioneers in this.
We were, I think, number 850 or so, and I think there's more than 3,000 now around the world. So sort of, kind of in the beginning.
Yeah, first third.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Yeah, a chance encounter, and there you go. You're off to the races. So obviously, B Corp has a lot of teeth, a lot of structure, a lot of verification of the work you do. So no questions there. But in terms of how you operate just internally, you're on with values every day running the business. How many employees do you currently have?
We have 47.
Okay.
And that's been all done without a dime in outside investment. We've just been reinvesting profits into growth. We do right by our team. We're also almost 100% diverse according to the 7 identifiers, and that was not even intentionally. It was just we were hiring who was best for the organization, and I think what likely happened is when candidates saw that our leadership team were all people of color, a mix of males and females, they were just like, "Oh, cool! I have a shot here," and they applied, and we hired whoever was best for us, and I guess people were self-selecting in. So I think in this day and age, with the push for equality and equity, we're very blessed to be in the position and serving constituents who look like us. So it's just it's a wonderful place to be.
Yeah, so your clients are diverse, your leadership team is diverse, and just through organic kind of like energy, attracting like energy, you've made it happen without actually making it a sort of like real intent. You didn't have to. A sense of belonging was already there.
That's right. We just want people to be who they are. We don't, when if someone interviewed and was saying all the right things, because you can fake an interview.
Yes.
We were just like, okay, we didn't really see any authenticity. We asked plenty of questions to try to capture that, but we just want people to be comfortable, no pun intended, in their own skin. Just be who you are.
Yeah. I always say to people who claim that they're not actors, like, have you ever been to a job interview? Then you probably deserve an Oscar, because this is the way we've created our system of hiring and recruiting. So in terms of actual values, we had talked about the karma acronym. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Sure. So originally, I had read some book and they're like, "Oh, you should have some values," and I just created them and I said, "Okay, everybody, these are our values." And one of our initial values was business karma, and which means you just do the right thing. It's even if so a lot of our competitors think that we're crazy. They're like, "What do you mean you're giving giving away all your secret sauce, you're sharing your best practices. And I'm like, listen, it's the right thing to do. If that's what our clients want and they want to do this function in-house, or they want to do certain duties in-house at the accountant bookkeeper level, and then we serve as their CFO and controller, that's totally fine. But this is what the market wants. This is what we're going to do. And we will do things that are right for our clients, right for our teammates, not because one is financially better or the other. And that really resonates with everyone. And so that business karma has been strong from the beginning. And we started doing some, we hired our VP of talent and culture, and was just like, listen, we need to evolve this at this time. Why don't we create some workshops, focus groups with teammates, and build the values from bottom up this time instead of top down. So what we came up with as an organization, and I wasn't even part of this. Karma now still resonates within the organization, but karma stands for kindness, accomplishment, respect, motivation, and appreciation. So those are the core values that mean so much to our entire team. We like to be kind to each other, especially in this day and age. We like to get things done. We like to accomplish and execute. We love the respect that we have for each other, and the respect that we're building for our clients, for the stakeholders. We like to be motivated. Everybody needs that motivation, that little push. And when you do accomplish all that stuff, we like to appreciate each other. We like to appreciate our clients. Early on, I used to always say, the reward for good work is more work. That's what ends up happening. So yeah, that's a bit of the evolution around our core values that we try to infuse into every one of our practices, whether it's recruiting new teammates, during the interview process, onboarding them, performance management, as well as, in the unfortunate case, if we have to offboard somebody, we still want to practice that karma.
Yeah. Conscious onboarding, conscious offboarding.
That's right.
I'm hearing a couple of things here. One is, it's almost like you would be happy if your business wasn't needed.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. If people took this seriously and they learned it all, and I love teaching this stuff, and I don't think maybe it's oversharing, but basically this comes from a very deep place for me. So my parents came from India in the late 60s, and they worked their tails off. I'm first generation born here, and in 1994, my father had his first heart attack. He was running a candy store that I was working at in Astoria, Queens since age 5. And then in 1999, he had a second heart attack. And after he got quadruple bypass in 1994, and then a second heart attack, my brother, mom, and I were like, okay, the store is over. We have to sell this. And our father had to retire 10 years earlier than anticipated. So they had to sell the two main assets that they had, the home in Valley Stream, Long Island, and the store in Astoria, Queens, for pennies on the dollar. And I saw how defeated and how upset they were. And they moved down to Florida in a very small rental with 2 bedrooms, 2 bath. And I'm like, I felt awful, that everything that they had worked so hard for was gone. And in that moment, I was like, I'm never letting this happen to anybody ever again. I am going to learn anything and everything humanly possible about responsible financial management. And now it's led us to this day where I'm actually writing our first book about what responsible financial management of charter schools looks like first, and then we'll adapt it for nonprofits, for social enterprises, and eventually I'd love to adapt it for individuals, adult individuals, and then ideally for K-12 students, because I think by design, and I'm dumping a whole lot on you right now, so sorry about that. I think it upsets me that government does not teach its citizens around the world what responsible financial management looks like. And I think it's because of the economic value to the world economy that they keep them in the dark. And that's something that I would like to somehow reverse or impact in a positive way by teaching responsible financial management.
Thank you for sharing the story. I want to get to the book in a second, but we're talking about essential life skills
Yes.
that we don't have. And your piece around financial management and building, savings and investments and retirement and budgeting, right? All those things are critically important. I come from the lens of how do we teach, emotional intelligence? How do we teach diversity, equity, and inclusion? How do we teach communication skills, active listening, right? To give people a space to be themselves and not to be a character, because everyone just wants to be heard. Yes, this all kind of blends together. I think we got to do a much better job across the board, and I really admire the work you're doing. So, the book, when can we expect to see it available?
I'm working on editing the manuscript right now, and I expect that it'll be out by the spring or summer of next year, and then I want to quickly adapt it. So ideally, both the charter school version and the nonprofit version are released at the same time, but a lot of things have to align, and for a numbers person, it's a lot of work to get the right words, but making progress each day. So
Okay.
it's exciting.
If I'm a charter school or a social enterprise, I can take your book and learn how to fish.
Absolutely.
Basically.
Absolutely.
And then not pay you to come in.
Correct. Yeah. So if we got into every last detail, it would probably be 1,000-page book, because it would be the who, what, when, where, why, how. We certainly focus on some of the how, the where, and the what. Sorry, the where, it just depends, but we really focus a lot on the what to do and why to do it. And again, this is our perspective. We're putting forth what we believe are the 10 cures that enable responsible financial management, and then within each cure, we're including 5 proven practices to help protect you against the symptoms of financial mismanagement. And we also share, paired with each cure, the cause for financial mismanagement. So it's a nice framework that will give anybody who reads it a lot to chew on and a lot to consider. And ideally, a founder of an organization, however it is, you're taking these matters into account instead of just dismissing it as a little bit of brainless data entry, which is something that really disrespects our world a lot.
Yeah, I just need a spreadsheet, and don't worry, it's fine. An intern, and I'll have it done. Yeah, your experience, obviously, and this is vast. This is your life. So I'm sure the book is going to be very comprehensive, as much as it can be anyway, for a manageable single volume. Maybe it'll be volumes 2 and 3 down the road, 4 or 5.
Perhaps. Yeah.
So we talked a bit about your social impact with your business, obviously purpose, the way you operate internally, just who you are and your origin story. About there's so much deep meaning there. You also work with students at NYU Wagner. Tell us quickly in a couple minutes just what the kind of work you do for the university.
Sure. So I'm an adjunct professor at NYU Wagner School of Public Service. At both the grad level and the undergrad level, I teach understanding social enterprise, how to use business as a force for good, and we use CSBM and FOREsight as the running case study throughout, where students create their own social enterprise, whether nonprofit or for-profit. They design it in the class, and we go through all the key components, and then some have actually launched their own enterprise, and it's been exciting. And one of them is called Solar Responders. My student Hunter Johansson launched Solar Responders, which helps fire stations and EMS stations in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria caused all the devastation there. And he said, if we can get solar power at each of these stations, then parts of Puerto Rico didn't have any power for more than a year. So there's about, I think there's 6 stations in different station parts of Puerto Rico so far that have been installed. They're trying to raise more money, and he recently asked me to be on the board, so I'm the board treasurer of Solar Responders now. So it's been very exciting to see it from just an idea in my classroom to, oh my God, look, the installations are out there, and seeing all the amazing work that's happening. So it's been just very rewarding to see others take the step.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, this is all through the class and the project.
That's right.
Yeah, that's really rewarding. I can't even imagine. Well, I can, because I do teach at Rutgers University as well, and though my students in my class, the purpose not to create these life-changing businesses, there is still personal impact on themselves, and it's really it's the best thing in the world. And I can see it in your face too, how important it is to you to have the impact on these young minds as they develop and really like help us evolve, which is what we're counting on them for.
That's right.
Well, Raj, you're a busy man. 2 businesses, book, university teaching, family. So I want to thank you for spending some time with us today and sharing your story. It's really inspirational. I think people are going to get a lot out of it. Can you let us know quickly how we can learn more about you, stay in touch with you, the business, and hopefully learn when the book comes out, all those kind of things?
Sure. So CSBM.com is our website for charter school business management. FOREsight, FORESIGHT.NYC is our website for that brand. I'm not much on Twitter. I have a handle, but it's not really.
Probably better off.
Yeah, but I'm on LinkedIn, under Raj Thakkar. But yeah, reach out, rthakkar@csbm.com or foresight.nyc.com. Both. You can email me. I'm just happy to talk with anybody who's interested in learning more and sharing their idea.
Yeah, and from having talked to you now a couple of times, I promise anyone it's time well spent. So Raj, thanks again for joining us today. And I also want to thank our Conscious Capitalism New York City chapter sponsors, the Core Club, as well as the Tomiak Foundation, who support and make programs like this possible. So thank you everyone for listening, and hope to see you again on another episode of Conscious Business Connections.